make it fun. Picking these up is definitely not fun. Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Euphoria and I'm a stay-at-home mom of 2 sons. And I just love to share my tips and my tricks and experiences that I've gathered throughout this motherhood journey so far. So today, I would like to talk to you about the horrors of potty training. No, I'm just kidding. It doesn't have to be that hard. It does not have to be that difficult. I definitely had some ups and downs while potty training my son, who was completely potty trained at the age of 2.5 years old. And because of that, I am compiling my findings here so you know what you need to know before potty training. So with all that said, let's just get started. Okay, tip 1. Have patience. I was so fascinated by the 3-day potty training method, as anyone would be, right? I mean, who doesn't want to have their kid potty trained in just 3 days? Jude was fighting me with every diaper change, and I honestly was becoming super fed up with just the diapers in general, so I thought that we were ready for a new beginning, you know? But, spoiler alert, it did not take 3 days. It actually took longer than 3 days. And maybe your child might honestly need more than 3 days as well. And that is perfectly fine. Using a diaper is all that they've known their whole life so far. And we all know what happens when you abruptly change something with your toddler not knowing. So the 3-day method was kind of a disaster for myself and my very strong-willed child, who was really feeling the pressure I was putting on him to change something that had been embedded in him literally in 3 days. He just needed more time, and maybe your child will need more time too. Tip number 2 is ease into it. Now, this can happen anywhere between 12 to 18 months or sooner, depending on however you want to live your life. Early exposure really does help them when it is actually time to go, to make it feel more familiar so they're more okay with it. I bought my son Jude a little potty when he was close to about 18 months, and we just kind of like talked to him about it. We let him sit on it a little bit, and he actually did go a few times, but we didn't put any pressure on him to do anything with it. We just kind of kept it in his view to make him just become a little bit more familiar and okay with it once we actually did start to incorporate it into our everyday routine. I bought my son Jude a little potty when he was about 18 months, and we just set it in the bathroom. We would talk about it, but there was really no pressure to do anything with it. He would come in and he would look at it, he would sit down on it, and he even went a few times, which was great. But my main goal was really to just have him create just a familiar feeling with having it and sitting on it and using it if he really wanted to. Now, tip number 3. Do not rush into it. This may sound a lot like ease into it, but I'm telling you, it needed a whole tip category of its own, because this is the surefire way to feel like a failure. Trust me, I know from experience. I tried to potty train Jude quite a few times from about 20 months until he was fully potty trained at 2.5 years old. Reflecting on the times when things actually clicked for him versus all of the other attempts, it is incredibly obvious that he was not ready. And what I've learned is, if your child is resisting or just not picking up on a skill, then they probably just aren't ready for it. Now, this is honestly just a full life situation with toddlers and children in general that I'm learning, but it's 100% okay if they're not ready for it yet. But definitely check with your pediatrician, talk to them, and if you have like any worries of developmental delays or anything like that. But if everything checks out, then it's more than likely they just aren't ready for it yet, and that's perfectly fine. And this is, of course, no matter what anyone tries to tell you. The final time that I tried to potty train Jude, Everything literally just clicked. It was kind of crazy. Honestly, it seemed like he potty trained himself in all reality. I had just given birth to my second baby, and in that same month, Jude was fully potty trained. Now, I want you to know that my sleep-deprived self put minimal effort into the whole situation. He was just ready. He could understand his body and listen to it, and that's honestly impossible to teach. He also didn't want to wear diapers anymore, and he could tell us, like he could clearly explain to us that he had to go, so we didn't have to hover over him and have him go to the bathroom every 15 minutes, which was one of the big things that deterred him from going in those previous attempts. So moving on to tip number 4. When the time does come, be flexible. So, your kid's finally ready. What now? First off, I want you to take a deep breath and try to let go of some of that control, you know, just a little bit, and be flexible. Now, I had to learn this the hard way also. Relinquishing some of that control and giving it to your child could literally change the game. Let them know that they have choices and a say in some things. Ultimately, this is a task that we want them to master so they can be more independent. So it doesn't really make sense to dictate the way that they learn. I want to rewind a little bit and go back to the point that your potty training journey will most likely be unique, and that's okay. Just be flexible. If something doesn't work out, then just go back to the drawing board. My son was pretty cool with being naked 24/7, but it did not take 3 days. Now, he was cool with the reward system of getting stickers and jelly beans, but the thing that truly motivated him most was when we just celebrated with him. You've got to do your research and curate your own personal plan, and everything should be smooth sailing from there. So, tip number 5 is to make it fun. Picking these up is definitely not fun, but you get my point, right? Let's make it fun for these children. So no, it will not be fun to clean up pee from the carpet or worse. We're not gonna talk about the worst, but we still have to make it fun for them. We gotta make it something that they're actually excited to do. Like undies that they picked out and they love, books in the bathroom, mason jars full of jelly beans and stickers, and creating your own pee songs and celebration dance breaks. You gotta go all in, and you gotta bring everything to the table. And don't forget the high fives. You gotta sprinkle some of those in for good measure. Accidents will happen and resistance will happen, but making all of this less of a job and more of a whole production can actually change the mood a lot. Now, I was afraid that rewarding Jude for going to the bathroom was gonna kind of create this bad habit of him just always needing to be rewarded, but in my case, that did not happen at all. After a week, he honestly didn't even realize that we had stopped giving him jelly beans and stickers, so it all worked out. I still do give him positive words even to this day when he uses the bathroom by himself, and that's only because I want him to be proud of himself for doing anything big or small, so I feel like that doesn't hurt. And I think that it will eventually wear off. I'm sure by the time he's 10 or 12, he's gonna get tired of me telling him, good job, you went potty. So moving right along to tip number 6, be consistent. Consistency is truly key. Now, when I had all of my previous attempts before the one that actually stuck, I was pregnant. So consistency was really hard for me. We would wake up in the morning and I wouldn't change Jude out of his pull-up, and that would just start a vicious cycle of him just going in the pull-up. Then I would change him and then I would put another pull-up on, and it would just create this vicious cycle that I could not get out of. It was just easier for me, and it's hard to not pick the easy route, especially when you're pregnant and you're tired and all that stuff. You guys know what I'm talking about. It's so important for you and anyone who is watching your child to just continue to be consistent with this, because that is going to create this new normal for them. Tip number 7, my very last tip. That is to show them, your child, and yourself some grace. Now, when they're ready, you will know and everything will align, but there will still be some challenges that you have to face. And in those moments, I want you to remember to show your child and also show yourself some grace. We have to make sure that we are keeping their confidence intact, and we do that by not shaming them when they have an accident. So Jude had quite a few revenge pees in the beginning of our journey, and that's mainly because he could sense the frustration that I had during that process, and I really don't want you to make the same mistake. So accidents will happen, and that's just a part of the process. Accidents will happen even after your child is potty trained, and that is also normal. But once again, I want to let you know that if you really do feel like something's off, definitely speak to your pediatrician, because if you're worried about something, you need to just ask the professionals. All we have to do is let them know that we still love them even when they have an accident. Let them know that they can try again next time and what they can do to be successful. You are not failing if your child has accidents or even starts to resist. All you're doing is embarking on this journey of discovering what is going to work best for your child and you. So do not give up. Just keep trying. But if it does begin to feel too overwhelming for you or your child, just take a step back, take a break, and try again later. The more positive that you are during the whole process, the more your child is willing to embrace it. So those are the 7 things that you need to know before you start potty training. I hope that this video gave you some good pointers and encouraged you to not feel like you're on society's timeline of when your child should be potty trained and how long it should take. If it did, please make sure that you hit that thumbs up button and consider subscribing if you have not. It is entirely free, and if you hit that notification bell, then you will never miss a video with me. And if you would like even more, then make sure that you follow me on Instagram at Euphoria the Cool Mom. Now, before you go, I want you to go ahead and go into the comments and let me know what was one of the biggest struggles that you had while potty training and how did you overcome it. Also, if you have any specific questions or any other tips that I may not have covered in this, then please drop them down below. I would love to answer. We could chat. With all of that being said, I thank you guys for watching this video. Now go out there and kill that potty training, and I will see you in the next video.